I'm Susie Hart and I am from Craft Aid International, a Harrogate-based charity that works with people with disabilities in the UK and the developing world. And today I'm going to show you how to make one of these beautiful owls with the kit that you have just purchased or been given as a gift. So first of all, take your pieces out of your kit and just put that to one side. And I found the easiest thing to do first of all is just to use a glue stick to stick down the various pieces so that they don't move about when you start sewing them. So I've stuck most of these on already. I'm just going to put the pupils on. And this glue stick that I'm using here is a nice strong one. So actually, if you were going to use this as an ornament and you weren't going to give it to a child to play with, it would work just with the glue, but obviously you'll get a much nicer effect if you do some embroidery on it as well. And of course you can do any sort of stitch that you want to on this. I find that blanket stitch is a really nice one to use, not least because we are using recycled blankets. These are 100% merino wool blankets that we've been given, which we've then boil washed and then dyed all these beautiful colours. Now the thread that's been provided in your kit is this beautiful Madeira embroidery thread, and it's in 6 strands. So if you're very careful, you can just split those strands like that into 2 groups of 3. So measure a piece of thread about the length of your arm and you'll find that's the optimal length to sew with. Cut it, divide it into 2 groups of 3 so that you've got a piece of thread like that. And having glued on all your pieces where you want them to be, you're then ready to start embroidering the front of your owl. So if you wanted to do a blanket stitch, this is how you would do it. Putting a knot in the end of your thread, just pull it back from the back to the front. And then for your first stitch, just go in again at the back there and through to the front of that tummy section. And then when you get to about there, just put the needle through that loop and pull, and that will create your first blanket stitch. So in like that, through the loop and pull, and you just keep doing that all the way around and you'll get that lovely blanket stitch effect that you can see on this one. On the wings, on this one here, they've done a blanket stitch around that edge and some big zigzags on there. There's all sorts of different ways you could do it. Here's one I've just been working on, and I've just done a little, it's almost like a daisy, sort of open daisy stitch on the wings there. Just to show you how to do that, I'll just snip this thread just for now. I can tie that off later, and I'll just show you how that's done. So let's put a knot in the end of this thread. Bring it from behind the wing, and the wings I quite like to just attach at the top of the wing, so I've just put a bit of glue underneath the top of each one there. So from the back, just do a sort of U shape with your thread like that. Go back into there and then cross the top of your thread that you've left when you made that little U shape, and you get a nice V like that. And then just put your needle down through the felt and you get a little shape that could almost be like a little feather shape, and you could do several of those so you end up with something like that. Or as I say, you could just do a blanket stitch or any other type of embroidery stitch that you'd like to do. So once you have embroidered all of the elements on the front of your owl, and as I say, you might just want to leave some of them glued. So on this one that I've done, I've decided not to do the embroidery all the way around the edge of the white bits of the eyes there. I've just glued them on really, really well. And then I've stitched my pupils on with just a little tiny cross of white, like a little highlight in the eyes there, and that will hold them on perfectly well. So once you've embroidered the whole thing, you take your back piece and just trim off the feet. This feels a little bit brutal, but get yourself a pair of sharp scissors, trim off those feet because you don't need those, and then put the 2 pieces together, front and back, like that, and start stitching all the way around the edge. So here's one that I started earlier, and I've done a blanket stitch from this foot all the way around to the foot on the other side, I've got almost down to the bottom there. Let's just take that through that last stitch so it's still a blanket stitch. There we go. And then you need to take the base of your owl and stitch that on. And if you just sort of wriggle it into place, if we look at the bottom of this one, you can see how that works. And that just makes him nice and 3D, and he will in fact sit up. So what we're going to do is just continuing with our running stitch, we're joining both pieces together. So we go around the front two pieces first. I hope you can see this well enough. All the way around the front, going through both layers, and then when we've done that edge there, we'll then be able to stuff our owl with the lovely stuffing that you got in your kit, and then you stitch the back one, and that will give you your completed three-dimensional owl. So as you can see, it's a nice easy thing to do, and it's a great thing that you can keep for yourself or you can give to other people. If you want him to sit up really well, and actually he does, even with the stuffing that you've got, but if you want him to really stay in one place, you could put some rice in the bottom or some beans, and just to weight him a little bit so that he will sit perfectly, but actually he should do anyway. You could also scent him with essential oils. So if you're having trouble sleeping, put some lavender oil on his tummy, put him next to your bed, and he'll be a lovely sleep companion as well. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Do have a look at the rest of the Craft Aid website to find out what we do, and most importantly to find out who's made the elements that are in your kit. They've all been cut out using very simple die cutting techniques by hand by differently able people in Harrogate and also in Leeds, and they come along to our weekly sessions. They have great fun hanging out together, learning new skills, making beautiful things in a creative and supportive environment, and they take great pride in creating the things that you can then buy and take home and make into your finished articles. So have a look at the rest of our website, find out about how you're making a difference to the people who've made the elements in your kit. Thanks very much.